Welcome to Connect 2022, the annual gathering of Digital Council Africa members, partners, and stakeholders. This year is iconic Cape Town, South Africa. The Digital Council embraces the extraordinary possibilities that the digital economy holds for the African continent. The Digital Council Africa's members have one thing in common. We believe that digital transformation is about putting people first. To our sponsors and partners, thank you for participating.
Let me move on to the next item on the agenda and invite the Deputy Minister for Communications and Digital Technologies in South Africa, and that is Mapulane. I feel like some of you are shy with that round of applause. You can just go for it, right?
Thank you very much, Program Director Kathy Mutlashan. I feel so intimidated speaking after Dr. Ngabo, who took us through the industry from a global perspective up to here at home. But I must say thank you very much, the President of the Digital Council Africa, Dr. Ngabo, together with the CEO, Junita Clark. Let me also recognize the Deputy Minister of Information Communication from Tanzania, Deputy Minister Kundo Andrew Matthew. Let me also recognize the DDGs from the department who are supporting us. We've got 2 DDGs present in our midst. That shows how important we take this conference from the department. We left, all of us are here, we left our offices to come and be with you and interact with you together with the other officials from the ministry and the department. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank Digital Council Africa for the invitation to come and share with you some of the work that we are doing in the department and our policy perspectives on a range of issues that you are grappling with in the ICT sector. I must say that as a village boy, somebody who grew up in the village and later in the township, I feel truly welcomed by the Panzula dance that just took place here. I myself used to participate in this dance, and when they were and when they were dancing, I felt like joining in, jumping onto the stage and joining the Panzula dance, because that's who we are. Welcome to Mzansi. That's how we do our things. And thank you very much to the organizers for that. So the Digital Council Connects Conference 2022 Digital Infrastructure Summit takes place 2 days after the commencement of the International Telecommunication Union Plenipotentiary Conference 2022, which is taking place in Bucharest in Romania. It started on Monday, the 26th of September. It's a marathon conference. It's going to end on the 14th of October 2022. As you know that this conference, the Plenipotentiary Conference, it's a preeminent, highest policy-making body of the ITU. The ITU, which is a specialized agency for information and communications technology of the United Nations. The PP22, just like this conference, has the ability to influence and affect the development of information and communication technologies within SADC, AU, and indeed globally. I am told by the colleagues in the department that Dr. Ngaba, who used to be the DG in the department, and all the DGs that followed him, played a key role in ensuring that South Africa continues to be an influential member of the ITU. Actually, in the African continent, we are the only country that has got a permanent presence in Geneva, who's full-time dedicated to the ITU. That's how important we take the ITU work, and it's through the work of the officials, the predecessors, Dr. Ngaba and all of the DGs that followed. Currently, the Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Minister Nchaveni, is currently leading a team of senior officials from the department. They are attending this conference because they have to participate in some of the important discussions taking place in Bucharest, because there are also important decisions to be made. This conference, which takes place after every 4 years, is going to elect the office bearers, the Secretary General, the Deputy, and the directors of the 3 bureaus. I am told that Junita, your CEO here, had a fruitful and meaningful engagement with the officials in the department, and I'm told that there was an interesting presentation that was made in preparation for ourselves as the department representing the country to go and participate in that conference. And as I join you today, representing the department and indeed the voice of government on ICT, I'm certain that you will be enriched by the illuminating voices of government, industry, and regulators over the next 2 days of this conference. Undoubtedly, all of these voices will and must appreciate that the rapid development of digital technologies, which has come to be characterized as the 4th industrial revolution, has imposed a duty that theirs will have to be voices that are sensitive to global trends from around the world, as they will be focusing on the issues related to fiber, towers, 5G, data centers, and cloud. As most of you will know, that I served at the behest and carried the mandate of the ruling party, the African National Congress, which in our recent successful national policy conference in June of this year in Nasrec, delegates expressed their concerns around the question of market consolidation and monopolies. Our research indicates that globally the telecommunications infrastructure space consists of 3 or 4 big players. We are seriously concerned about the dominance of few players and the highest prices of mobile data. We again wish to reiterate a call that mobile data must continue to fall. We are only calling on data to fall, especially for educational purposes of learners, for the hospitals, for the police station, and for South Africans in general. We are supported in this belief by the recent 2020 Competition Commission report on the data services market inquiry, which concluded that mobile data costs are high and it made recommendations to reduce the high and structurally anti-poor pricing for mobile data. We believe that the settlements will show mobile network providers reducing their prepaid data prices substantially, including introducing a zero-rated access on public benefit and essential government websites, lifeline data, and increased pricing transparency must be felt out by all South Africans. It is only in this way that South Africans can feel that this intervention has improved their access and lowered their cost of communication. Because without access to the internet, South Africans won't be able to participate in this exciting digital economy that we are participating in. We are also following ongoing online intermediation platforms market inquiry, which includes e-commerce marketplaces with a keen interest. You will recall that ICASA had finalized its inquiry into mobile broadband services competition and call termination regulations. I have been informed that MTN has initiated an application in the High Court seeking to review the mobile broadband services regulation of 2021 and is challenging issues related to, among others, mobile retail services, site infrastructure access, and national roaming services. Telkom has also initiated a High Court review application targeting certain of the propositions adopted by ICASA in its findings document on the review of the 2014 pro-competitive remedies imposed on licenses in terms of call termination regulation 2014. I have been informed that Telkom is particularly aggrieved by ICASA's determination to remove rate asymmetry for existing operators and to limit asymmetry benefits to 3 years from market entry for new entrants offering voice termination services. Of course, this is the nature of our constitutional democracy and public administrative justice principles, where those affected by decisions of public bodies have the right to seek recourse in our court. And this is what makes South Africa a very exciting democracy, that all of us have got rights, and if we feel that our rights are being affected, we have got the opportunity to litigate, to approach the courts to resolve. So as government, we will wait for the resolution of this dispute through the court processes, because this is the nature of the litigious communication digital technology sector and market. We know that we are being accused as government for delaying the auctioning of spectrum, but if you'll recall that there's been litigation after litigation, which delayed the ultimate allocation of spectrum through through auction. So it was because of the continuous litigation that this sector, I'm told, because I've joined it very recently, I'm told is known for being litigious. But of course, there's the South African society as we know it. But I'm encouraged by what Dr. Ngaba was saying, that we encourage resolving matters out of court. And I think this is something that we've always been saying. If there are disputes between the industry and government or other public bodies, it's important that we must always sit around the table and resolve our issues. This is how we negotiated democracy in this country. All the contending parties found a way onto the table, negotiated through CODESA, through the multi-party negotiating forum, until we arrive at the point where we say, this is our draft constitution, let's go and have elections. So in a similar vein, I think there has to be continuous engagement in the sector with government. We hope that the deployment of the new high-speed deep-sea cable, which is called the Equiano, which I was honored to observe the launch, which was taking place here in Cape Town by Google South Africa in a partnership with Telkom OpenServe, and the allocation of spectrum by the regulator will significantly contribute to the decrease in the cost of data. However, there are skeptics out there who believe that the jury is still out because of claims that the cost of load shedding is one of the elements that is forcing operators, especially recently, to increase their wholesale and retail prices of mobile data. So as we thought that data is coming down, data prices, now we've recently observed that the costs are continuing to increase, mainly because of the claims that is because of load shedding. Dr. Ngaba spoke about the bylaw. Now, I want to share with you some of the developments that has been taking place. With regard to the rapid deployment of electronic communications facilities, you'll recall that the presidency established Operation Vulindlela in October of 2020 as a joint initiative of the presidency and National Treasury to accelerate the implementation of structural reforms. A focus of the initiative is reducing the cost to communicate and improving the quality of digital communications through, among other things, the auctioning of high-demand spectrum, the completion of the broadcasting digital migration process, and the switching off of analog transmission, the finalization of the rapid deployment policy and streamlining of the process for wayleave approvals, connecting South Africa by rolling out broadband infrastructure across the country. With regard to the rapid deployment of digital infrastructure and the streamlining of wayleaves approval, I am happy to announce, and I thought that you are not aware, but Dr. Ngaba has taken that away. I'm happy to announce that following the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between our department and the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, COGTA, in July of 2020, the Minister for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, has published the standard drive bylaws for the deployment of electronic communications and facilities for public comment on the 19th of September 2022, with the submissions due on the 28th of October of this year. As a department, we worked very closely with COGTA in producing the standard bylaws, which industry has been calling for. We made very significant inputs into that document. I remember in my first encounter, after we were appointed in August of last year, I attended a Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium, SITSA of 2021, which was held at the Sandton Convention Center. I was in a panel, a high-level panel discussion with Dr. Ngaba. And I remember he spoke with a lot of passion about the impediments that this industry is encountering with municipalities, where you are subjected to different and often very tedious application processes for rolling out of fiber and other digital infrastructure. And so this draft bylaw is a very welcome development, because what it will do, it will standardize all the application processes, as Dr. Ngaba was saying. So we are calling on you As industry, we are encouraging you to make your submissions, make your comments on how we can better shape this draft bylaw. You still have until the 28th of October to do that. Now, having infrastructure program director and access to cheap mobile data will not serve much purpose if the citizens do not have the capacity and skills to exploit data towards the development of tradable goods and services. So the issue of digital skills becomes of utmost importance. Digital skills therefore remains a critical intervention in enabling the majority of citizens to participate in the digital economy. I therefore call upon the ICT industry not only to support our digital skills initiative, but also to pursue additional initiatives to expand digital skills across South Africa, especially in indigenous communities. You can do so by providing bursaries, establishing academies, or sponsoring digital skills programs in our schooling system. This will not only strengthen our country's digital skills to innovate and participate in the digital economy, but will also support government's goals of reducing poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Last year, I was invited by Telkom to be part of their conference, which is called SATNEC, where through their initiative, the Center of Excellence, they are sponsoring a number of postgraduate students in ICT at master's, at doctoral level. So they annually convene a conference where the students come and present papers, their research, and all of that. So I was particularly impressed about the initiative that Telkom is doing of establishing the Center of Excellence, of allocating resources so that we can contribute towards the skills development, because the nature of work is changing. We require a new set of skills, and so as industry, we must also invest in the skills development. Program Director, let me just quickly talk about the draft white paper that we are busy with on audio and audiovisual content policy framework, a new vision for South Africa, which seeks to address the availability of relevant services and content in a world where there is an abundance of local content available in the country, with video on demand being extremely popular. We know that MultiChoice offers Showmax and DSTV now. ETV has OpenView HD, and the country's public broadcaster, the SABC, is launching its own video on demand platform. Walt Disney is launching Disney Plus in the South African market, which will include Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, which targets mature audiences. So South Africa has a wealth of global content available. Therefore, there is a huge role for digital in the attention economy, where the OTTs are reigning supreme, and there is space for collaborative efforts by industry and a fair and balanced parity-inspired regulatory policy framework. However, we are aware of the unfair competition in the market, especially by the global OTT players, and we are working on the appropriate policy intervention to address this gap. Program Director, to improve connectivity in South Africa, we had commenced with broadband connectivity program. Most of you will know it, called SA Connect. This program ensures the rollout of ICT infrastructure across the country to ensure that all South Africans have access to the internet by 2024. This will ensure that our people are connected to access online services. We have also agreed with our telecommunications mobile operators as part of their social obligations arising from the spectrum auction to assist the country And in this regard, they have committed to spend approximately 1.3 billion US dollars in social obligations to connect public schools, health facilities, clinics, public libraries, government centers, and tribal authorities by June of 2025. In order to further enhance our broadband connectivity reach, South Africa is at an advanced planning stage towards launching its own geocommunication satellite through our signal distribution company, which is Centec, in partnership with the South African National Space Agency and other relevant key stakeholders, bearing in mind that South Africa has 7 submarine cable systems with a total design capacity exceeding 70 terabytes per second. The latest addition to this deep sea submarine fiber cables was the Google Equiano cable, which brings almost double the capacity that was there, which brings about 144 terabytes per second, which was launched recently in Melbourne. Ladies and gentlemen, as you might be aware, the Department of Communications and Digital Technology has published the draft data and cloud policy for public comments, which I would like to quickly unpack for you. After going through the inputs and analysis, we are now working on finalizing a draft cloud computing policy for South African government. The intention is to finalize this policy by the 30th of June, in line with the Minister's Performance Agreement with the President. The purpose of this policy is to facilitate cloud adoption across government, outline governance requirements relating thereto, and articulate government expectations in respect of cloud services providers. The aim of the policy is to universalize cloud adoption across all government departments to achieve total digital transformation at all levels of government. We seek through this policy to regularize government cloud computing, to drive digital transformation in government, support government's socio-economic objectives towards building a robust digital economy while ensuring capacity enablement, compliance with data security, privacy requirements, as well as cost optimization. This policy will be applicable to all government departments, national, provincial, and state-owned companies. The global economy has and is moving towards digitization and digitalization at an unprecedented pace. This has put tremendous pressure on governments in developing countries to urgently prioritize digital transformation. Although one can talk about countless benefits of digital transformation, there should be an understanding that it is a challenge in developing countries burdened by diverse needs, and in some instances, the need to address historical imbalances, where priorities of different communities and societies in our country are at different levels of economic participation and therefore diverse developmental needs. After ICASA proceeded with spectrum auctioning to ease the spectrum capacity concerns of the mobile and other sectors, we are also moving forward with spectrum policy, which we have released for public comment so that we can release more spectrum into the market. We would like to see government actions being reciprocated by the sector in terms of infrastructure investment and reducing the cost to communicate. Now, we are being told regularly that infrastructure investment in rural areas does not make economic sense. This is something that we are told, especially by the sector. As you know, you invest a lot in the cities, particularly around the rollout of fiber. It doesn't go to the rural areas. But when you visit most of our rural communities, You see a lot of sprawling malls and shopping centers, people building their own mansions all over the place, lots of economic activities, full of cars, and it's busy in the rural communities. So you can see that other industries, other businesses do recognize the buying power of these communities. But the digital sector does not and continues to be hesitant to invest in rural infrastructure. Yes, there are other instances where constraints exist in terms of rapid deployment of infrastructure, and as we have just announced that we are working on it through, among other things, the draft bylaws, the rapid deployment policy that we have issued. But there are other areas in the rural communities where ICT, digital infrastructure can be rapidly deployed. And so we are encouraging the industry to also look at that. I'm sure that you'll see a lot of benefit in investing in that. And so to be able to derive value out of data, we should realize that there are enablers in this regard. And as it is with our global counterparts, we acknowledge our responsibility to develop policies, strategies, and legislative enablers. That is why South Africa was one of the few countries to implement the Malabo Convention by introducing the Protection of Personal Information Act. This was in recognition that the processing, mainly collection, analyzing, usage, and sharing of information should also accord certain rights to the data subjects, meaning the citizens, be it in the country and or in other jurisdictions. This is in recognition of the constitutional rights of citizens to privacy. Government has also enacted the Cyber Crimes Act 19 of 2020, designed to ensure prosecutorial enablement for cybercrime, to ensure that cyber crimes can be prosecuted. As you will be aware, one of the impediments to embrace digitization is the fear of some of our citizens that online transactions can enable the fraudsters to criminally access their funds, which is more of a myth out there. But of course, it's something that we must be alive to it, that our citizens are not able to participate in the digital economy because of fear of cyber crimes. So the Cyber Crimes Act was enacted as an additional measure, and the Strengthening of Electronic and Communications and Transaction Act, number 25 of 2002. Now, digitization and digitalization in an environment supported by data-free flow is an ideal for every country that seeks to build a strong economy. We are, however, also aware that data flow, if not managed properly, can also be harmful. We have seen instances where digital manipulation has determined the outcomes of elections in some countries. We're just talking about an interesting development. Dr. Ngaba was telling us about the cyber horse that begins to play themselves out in the social media space, in Twitter. Some of us have got experiences of how some of the elections were, the outcomes of the elections came about. For instance, when the Trump administration came in, and the role that social media has played, and the peddling of fake news in the social media space, which is some of the challenges that we're beginning to experience as we see the advancement of digital adoption, most and more people getting online. We are also noticing how even in the free market economies, like the USA, there is more demand for accountability from multinationals handling massive volumes of citizens' data. These multinationals also operate in South Africa. So where our policies are enacted to provide certain data protection, Our concerns should not be seen separately from the concerns of their countries of origin. We have seen how cybercrime can bring the operations of some departments and business organizations to a complete standstill. Any cautious steps that we take in this regard should therefore never be regarded as threatening the business environment, but rather to protect our sovereignty and the rights of our citizens. Multinationals and even local companies should see our policy and legislation as seeking to balance the promotion of citizens' interest in creating a supportive business environment. And therefore, as we engage, it is important to seek reciprocal solutions that do not push the winner takes all, but rather seek a give and take arrangement that we plan to work on tirelessly until it provides maximum benefit for both sides. In conclusion, I'm sure you are happy to hear that I'm concluding. We are happy that every now and then the sector, and we must thank the Digital Council Africa, creates avenues for dialogue that seeks to frankly confront our challenges and seek collective solutions. We do appreciate your recognition that this engagement also needs us as a government, as the policy maker, to come and give inputs, and we're also always available to engage with you as a listening government. I would like to take this opportunity to wish you fruitful deliberations and a successful conference. Thank you very much.